and welcome back to the Shadow Nook. Tonight I'll be guiding you through the misty slopes of Pendle Hill. Pendle Hill looms above Lancashire, up north here in England. It is an isolated landmark, shrouded in mystery and hauntings. There are a lot of paranormal happenings, folklore, and the most infamous happening at Pendle Hill was the Pendle Hill Witch Trials. Beyond this, Pendle Hill has a history of other worldly sightings, such as strange lights in the sky, shadowy figures, and dark energies that draw people to wonder what may else have happened here. Join me tonight when I tell you the stories of what goes on in Pendle Hill. If you'd like to take a seat with me, we will go through these stories together. So, decided to sit down in the Shadow Nook today to tell you the stories of the Pendle Witch Trials and other stories that have happened at Pendle Hill. So, in the early 1600s, King James I had a deep fear of witchcraft. His writings and laws encouraged people to accuse neighbours of practicing the dark arts. In Pendle, poverty, rivalry, and superstition all collided. Notably, there were two families, the Demdikes and the Shattowys. They were bitter enemies. A lady named Elizabeth Sothens, also known as the Old Demdike, was a blind woman with a reputation for charms and folk magic. Locals both feared her and relied on her. Anne Whittle, known as the Old Shattowys, was Elizabeth's rival, who was also accused of cursing others and causing mysterious deaths. Over the course of time, accusations spiralled, with neighbours blaming illnesses, deaths, and just misfortunes on both of these families. In 1612, 12 people were accused of witchcraft. 10 were hanged at Lancaster Castle. 1 was found not guilty, and the Old Demdike, Elizabeth herself, died in prison before the trial even began. Their tragic fate left a deep scar on the area. Many believe their restless spirits still linger around Pendle Hill. Next, I wanted to talk about the Device family. The Device family were prominent during the witch trials at Pendle Hill. Elizabeth Device was the daughter of old Demdike, poor with a fierce reputation. Some said that she begged and even threatened some of her neighbours, promising misfortune if she was refused what she wanted. Alison Device, who was Elizabeth's daughter. The story goes that she cursed a peddler, John Law, after he refused her pins. Shortly after he refused her pins, he collapsed with a stroke. This incident lit the spark which actually led to the entire witch hunt. James Device, who was Elizabeth's son, only in his teens at the time, became a key witness during the trial, but then was later accused himself. Testimonies from the Device family, particularly young Jeanette Device, who was Elizabeth's 9-year-old daughter, sealed the fates of many of these so-called witches. Jeanette, the 9-year-old, stood on a table in court, pointed directly at her mother, brother and sister, and accused them of being witches. Historians see this as one of the most tragic elements of the story, a mere child condemning her own family in the name of witchcraft. Next, I wanted to talk about the hauntings that have happened since the witch trials of 1612. These hauntings and sightings across Pendle Hill have often been linked to the witches that once lived there. Firstly, people have reported hearing a child's voice crying or simply calling out. Some believe it's actually Janet Device, the 9-year-old, who is potentially regretting her testimony against her family. There are also shadows of a woman with children by her side that have been sometimes viewed wandering the moors alone. Some paranormal investigators have investigated the area and taken EVP readings. These EVPs have allegedly captured words and names such as Alison or Mother, further feeding into speculation that these could be ghosts of the witches. Visitors often describe shadowy figures moving through the mist, thought to be the spirits of the accused witches. Walkers at night often hear whispering voices following them. When they turn around, there's nobody there. There is also sudden drops in temperature around Pendle Hill. The feeling of being watched and overwhelming sense of dread are all common feelings whilst being present at Pendle Hill. On Halloween, or the anniversary of the witch trials, activity seems to increase. Some people hear chanting, as if a gathering is still taking place centuries later. Now, some people might not know what this is. If you do, please drop a comment down below. The next part of Pendle Hill I'd like to talk about is Malkin Tower. Malkin Tower is where the witches used to gather for their meetings. Malkin Tower was also said to be the home of the old Demdike and her family. It gained notoriety because during the investigation, during the witch trials, a meeting of suspected witches was reported to have taken place here. Authorities claimed that the witches, whilst in Malkin Tower, were plotting curses and even conspired to free the accused from the prison. The actual site of Malkin Tower has been lost to history, but many believe its ruins lie under farmhouses nearby, or under the fields of Pendle. More paranormal reports around Malkin Tower are of unexplained lights, described as flickering candles. However, there are no houses nearby. Ghostly women in long cloaks just wandering the empty fields. Animals acting distressed, horses not going any further than a certain point, and dogs growling at empty air. Some say that the ground itself feels cursed, as if the tower, although no longer there, has left a permanent mark on the area. Welcome back. this candle is quite fitting for this story. Wickedly wonderful chocolate. Anyway, there have been some more paranormal events at Pendle Hill. Phantom footsteps, for example. People simply walking up the hill, hearing footsteps following them. However, when they turn around, the footsteps stop. On still nights at Pendle Hill, there have been reports of children crying, or the faint sound of child laughter near the woods and farmsteads in Pendle. Local legend says the children of the accused witches were left behind. These spirits wandering lonely throughout the fields looking for their parents. There is also an interesting theory around the devil's folklore. One tale suggests that Pendle Hill itself was dropped there by the devil, angry after carrying a huge mound of earth across England. This has given the hill a reputation as a place of unnatural energy. And then places just in the surrounding area of Pendle, in local cottages and pubs that have been there for a while, report objects simply moving on their own, doors slamming and glasses shattering with nobody nearby. And to close up, we have some modern day investigations. Pendle Hill is now a magnet for modern day paranormal investigators, with cameras, spirit boxes and EMF detectors. Many groups have reported when they've been on ghost hunts that they have acquired scratches, dark red scratches on their skin. Nobody has touched them, but these scratches have had to have come from somewhere. Others have reported sudden sickness or dizziness whilst climbing the hill. Some mediums have claimed that they have spoken to the witches themselves, describing their presence as angry, sorrowful, and trapped by injustice. And some people simply abandon their walk halfway up the hill, with complaints of an extremely oppressive atmosphere that makes it impossible to continue further. So, Pendle Hill is both a natural landmark and a dark memorial, a place where haunting and history are intertwined and inseparable. The story of Pendle witches is a reminder of a fearful, dark time, when superstition led to suffering. Yet, the spirits of the accused linger, woven into the land itself, in the wind across the moors, in the shadows moving through the mist. So one could say that they never really left us. Before you go, I'd like to do another reading, oracle card reading for you. Last time we did the forest deck, but incidentally I'd like to do the Samhain witch deck, seeing as we have been talking about witches today. So this deck is Seasons of the Witch, Samhain Oracle. I will pick a card, just one card, and read it to you, and you can interpret the reading however you like. This deck is beautiful. We have voices. With a tug at the gut, feel them romance your very breath. Listen to the gentle flickering within your eyes, for this is where they guide. Now, could this relate to voices perhaps of our higher being, or maybe referring to the voices of the accused witches in today's story? I'll let you decide. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Don't forget to collect your subscription on the way out, so that you don't have any issues finding your way back to the Shadow Nook. Sleep well.